but that you've matured and that you've learned skills. And if you're a tech person or a kids church teacher, that you get training and you're more equipped to do the work that God has brought you here for. And then, of course, sending. We want to send us back into the world to make a difference. Now, that might be in my office space, in my home, my school, but then also beyond Perth and Australia. Some people might go overseas to Russia or South Africa, other places, but that we send out as well. And that becomes a cycle. We win to build, to send, to win, to build, to send. It's a continuous thing that we want to do. One of the ways that we measure our effectiveness and our health as a church, is through the NCD survey, Natural Church Development Survey. We do that at the end of every year. We're doing, I think, about 6-7 years worth of that now. And you can plot the growth of the church. There on the screen is our attendance, measured in yearly marks. Can you see we've gone from 45, that's adults in Sunday services. So you might have more in your books, but on the Sunday we had 45, then 50, then 90. And you see the dotted blue line just beyond 90? That's when we couldn't fit us into one service at our previous building. So we went to 2 services. And then we went from 120 to 160 on a Sunday to 220 on a Sunday. Now we could sit about 110 legally in the building. We were more than that at times. But legally we could sit about 110. So when we got to 220, we were legally at capacity. And that was a time when we said, listen, we're going to have to find a new venue. And after months of wrestling with it, this is where we are today. We now have one service. We can all fit into one service. And we didn't do it because we just want to be more comfortable. We could not fit into the old building. I know that the previous building was cozy. You had softer chairs. It had air conditioning. And I really don't want to make life uncomfortable for any of you. But the gospel and the Bible is not about soft chairs and air conditioning. It's about God's kingdom. And whatever it takes is what we should do to make sure that God's kingdom is built and advanced. And kingdom building is not just on the cutting edge of missions. It's families that connect to a local church where children grow up in the faith of the Lord. And people experience blessing and stability. At the bottom of the screen, it shows our average attendance since we've come to this building is 281. We've been about 170 to 315, 320. It goes up and down, but the average is 281. Can you see by our average, we could not fit where we were. So it's important that we grow and we get capacity before we need it. You know that children's church at the old building, when we had 2 services, they could not fit the children. Legally, I think they could put 15 and 22 maybe in the 2 rooms. We had 2 rooms. Sometimes there were 40 in that room in one of the services. And then the other service, there might be 25 or 35. We were illegal in that building, but what could we do? Now we've come to a new building. We have side rooms, and we've got the kids' church. They are now legally in the numbers, but they're fast encroaching on that legal limit. But us migrants, we can stretch. Little kids count half. But since we've moved here, it grew so quickly that we now have a 3rd kids' church room, the one right over there through that door. So that's now the upper children. We have our middle group over there and our junior group over there, and then of course the parents' room. Of course, we had room to grow, we grew. And we praise God for that. It's as if God just knows what's ahead and He prepares us for it. Our results, our NCD results, if you would like the detailed versions, it's hundreds of pages long. You email me, I'll send that to you in an email format. It's huge, but it's available for anyone. But in summary form, that's the result of our NCD for December 2012. I'm going to walk over there, quickly talk you through it. It's got 8 bars. Ooh, I probably can't do that. Can't get close to a speaker. Alex, can you stand there? Thank you. So the first bar is called Empowering Leadership, and there's dozens and dozens of things that they measure for that. Then you have gift-based ministry, passionate spirituality, effective structures, inspiring worship services, holistic small groups, need-orientated evangelism, loving relationships, and then our average. In the middle, you'll see 3 lines. The bottom line is you do not want to go below that. That's when you're sick. You need to go see a doctor. So the bottom line is the dangerous level to be under. As long as you're over that, you would fall in what we call the average of churches of your size. They compare us to other churches of our size. That's the middle line. The 50 mark is the average of our size churches. The top line is when you are doing exceedingly well. Another word to use is you are very healthy in these regards. Now we've grown, some of them flux a bit, but as you can see, all of them are above average. So we're getting, one could say B's and A's, maybe an A+ here or there. And we want to work to continue to grow in all these areas. The next slide. Alex, if you can point out holistic small groups. See the little red arrow at the top? That was our biggest up curve. It jumped nearly 10 points up to 70. So it's showing that we have really grasped and put into place structures for people to connect in holistic small groups. Now that can be small group at a house, a ministry group. And I do want to ask Gerard, just quickly stand up. We employed him for 1 day a week about a year and a half ago because we saw we're in trouble there. And he has poured his life into this. So if you want to be in a small group, now you might have kids or you want to have it in Portuguese or in English, whatever your need is, you speak to Gerard and he's going to be able to slot you into one of our dozens of groups. I think at the moment 26, 24, and so 24 functioning at the moment. We're always eager for it to keep growing, but he's the man to speak to. Thank you, Gerard. The one that fell the most is loving relationships. Thanks, Alex. Now it went from an A+ to an A or maybe a B+. Now we're not in the bad place with it, but it's come off the boil. There's many reasons. One was we had 2 services. The church grew. People didn't feel connected with one another as they used to. We didn't have enough people in holistic small groups. So that was, I think, a outflow of that, is that our loving relationships dropped down. And remember, it's people like you. It's a snapshot of you that fill in these forms. 30 people we choose from church. One of the things that was highlighted in the questionnaire is, one question was, I know of people with bitterness toward each other. Or another question, when people are angry with each other, they will make efforts to resolve it. We scored low there. And it's just reflecting a level of maturity that needs to improve. So I'll be preaching on that, but I want to ask you as well, from the moment you heard this, you can help to make sure that our church is a church that is known for loving relationship, that we are strong in that. Jesus said, by this shall the world know you are my disciples if you have love for one another. I mean, I don't want to stop preaching, but you get it? That's one of the areas we want to work on. Next slide. The 2 areas, and just click again, that we really felt, this is what we're sensing is being lifted out by these results, and even feeling God's prompting, is to ensure we have healthy, loving relationships, but also need-orientated evangelism. As a pastor, I was very demotivated to initiate outreach events at our previous building because we didn't have seats. We couldn't fit our own people in the building. But now we can. And therefore, we've got some things that are brewing in our hearts for outreach opportunities because we can seat more people. It might mean that in the future, we have 2 services again. That's fine. It might mean that we have a Saturday night service. That's fine as well. That's just the sense that I'm getting in my heart. Maybe I'm wrong. You pray about it as well. But I don't think God is done building our church. He's still building. And He has lots more people on His heart that He wants to connect with churches like ours. So those 2 things. The last circle, see on the left, empowering leadership. That's one that is low. But I think that's more perception, not so much truth. Because some of the questions would ask, are you being equipped? Do the pastors and leaders go for training? And a lot of people said, oh, we don't think so. Equipping's not happening. When in actual fact, there's lots of it happening. So we realize we need to communicate better. Training events, when Gerard goes for a seminar for small groups, we need to put a photo and write about it so that you know what's happening in the church. And the best way for you to be up to date with what's happening in the church is please read the e-newsletters. Page 2 of the e-newsletter is from the pastor's desk. I don't write a devotion there. That's Sunday. What I write there is what's happening in the church. What has happened? What is ahead of us? So please read that just to stay in the loop with all the announcements and things of our church. On this chart, one area that we realize that is missing is orange. Remember orange? Oh, maybe I got a cramp. I'll try and do it this way. You see my orange socks? In South Africa, there was a guy called David Kramer. He used to wear black shoes and red shoes with wrong-colored socks. But I couldn't wear an orange shirt because people say I stand out better against the white when I have dark clothing. So I listen to you, but I wear orange socks. I know some of you have got orange shoes on, or you have an orange watch. Martin, where are you? Oh, I nearly thought he's dating my daughter, so he better be in church. Have you got your phone on you? Just see the orange? That's a new cover. And he saw black and orange. Oh, the church is about orange, got an orange thing. So people are buying into this concept of orange. I'll talk about orange in a moment's time, but it's not measured on NCD. So we have to measure orange separately. But orange is a core value of our church. Verse 3 of Psalm 127 said, children are a heritage from the Lord. An offspring is a reward from Him. Like arrows in the hands of a warrior are children born in one's youth. So this is referring to the next generation, young people, 9-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 22 years old. The next group. Play forward in your mind, your life, 10 years on. How old will your children be? Okay, maybe you've got small ones. Just play it 15 years on. They might be married. Scary thought. They are the leaders of the future. Grace Church, or any church, doesn't just exist for the current members, current leaders. It exists for one generation to tell another and another and another. That's what we exist for. And the Bible says that having our young people in our midst, in our house, is like a man who has a quiver full of arrows. And arrows is used to defend the city. It is used to attack the enemy. If we don't have young people and we don't invest in them and we lose them, 20 years from now, when I'm fully gray and you're fully gray, it'll just be us left in this building and we'll sing slow worship songs